on the internet. You're a salt adult.
All right, everybody. This is a mini review. Fuck it. It's a review of AEW Rampage for August 20th, 2021. My voice is wrecked right now, and you'll know why in just a second. Probably, if you're a wrestling fan, you already know why my voice is destroyed today. But I'm not going to get into a lot of personal crap about how I love wrestling. I'm already doing a series called Highspots from a Mark's Life, where I'm going to talk about my love of wrestling. And there's also going to be some other stuff coming up here on this channel about wrestling. But I've watched wrestling since I was 10. This is just a little forward to this. And when I was 10, it was 1985. I've been there through the golden age of the NWA, in my opinion anyway. It was Flair on top, Dusty chasing the belts, the rise of Nikita Koloff, the rise of Magnum TA, the winning, the way that people treated Ron Simmons when he won the world title. I've seen moments of wrestling that I will never forget. I remember being in a Lansing theater watching Hulk Hogan lift Andre the Giant and slamming him to the ground, and a room full of adults high-fiving and cheering. But what I saw Friday night and how I felt that night, which was last night, well, not now, it's like 2 nights ago, this is Sunday, I felt like that when I watched on pay-per-view Austin win the world title. In fact, I felt like that when I watched Austin come out and jump everyone at the Royal Rumble, and then won the Royal Rumble legit. I felt like that when I saw Bret Hart come into WCW. I love all wrestling. I still love WWE's, fuck that, WWF. I still love the WWF. The WWE, I don't know. They've been making moves recently that I just don't agree with, and tonight's SummerSlam was just laughable. Watch Wrestle Talk's review, live reaction to it, and you'll get why I don't care. It seems like Vince McMahon just wants to like swerve his fans or make them mad, or he doesn't pay it off ever. It's like there's no blow off. It's always just a swerve to anger the fans so they'll get talking, because controversy creates cash in his brain. But that's a Vince Russo thought. And Vince Russo thoughts need to be jettisoned out the airlock, if you know what I'm saying. And since I'm Commander Dan aboard the retro station, you do know what I'm saying. Anyway, on Friday night, CM Punk came back to wrestling. It was like watching a friend who never watches wrestling and refuses to watch when you tell him, hey, check out Shinsuke Nakamura over on NXT. It's insane. Hey, check out Kevin Steen or Kevin Owens. It's insane. And they're just like, I don't love wrestling anymore, man. I like that, but something just, like maybe the finger poke of doom did it. You have friends like that. Finger poke of doom finished it. How about when Dave Arquette won the world title? That did it for some people. In fact, my brother, he stopped watching WCW the second WWF bought them out, and he's like, I'm done watching wrestling. Seriously. Until Jericho and the press conference just before All Out, which we went to, or just before All In, which we watched on pay-per-view, and then All Out we went to. We've been to All Out, Revolution, we went to Dynamite, and then at a spur of the moment, we were going to be in Milwaukee next week, but we decided to go to Rampage, the second episode, because we heard maybe CM Punk would make an appearance. I heard maybe CM Punk would be there, and it was like hearing, that the great pumpkin was going to show up. I'm like, there's no fucking way, pardon my French, there's no way that CM Punk is going to show up to a wrestling show, because whatever love he had for wrestling, and this is the most dastardly, evil thing that, not Vince McMahon, because he had nothing to do with this, but that Triple H and his little bunch of dipshits in the creative department over at WWF did ever in their lives was to crush CM Punk's heart for wrestling by mistreating him and then pretending they're not. I know there's a lot of sore. I hope they fix this shit, man. But between rumors anyway. And I don't want to go into that. It's negative, but if you watch Colt Cabana's Art of Wrestling with CM Punk, watch both episodes. It's here on YouTube, and it's not, there's no paywall. Just listen to it. Listen to what he says. And you tell me, did he have a right to leave wrestling and just not do it? He had no reason to even almost apologize on Friday, which is what he did. But he had no reason to do that. I didn't hold it against him. He had been crushed. He'd been abused, actually. Like, the word abuse is thrown around a lot when people want to, I don't know, manipulate the conversation in some ways. And not everyone does that. In fact, I believe in abuse, but he was abused, man. That was legit abuse while at work. And wrestling is the only, business, it seems, where you can do that and get away with it, because if you don't accept the abuse, you don't love wrestling. Horse shit. What I saw on Friday was a man who fell back in love with wrestling because he saw that we who love wrestling are supporting wrestling again. And yeah, I know. I have a shirt that says I'm a Jim Cornette guy because I am. Hate me if you want. Throw all the hate you want down in the comment section. I love Jim Cornette because he's right about a lot of shit. Sorry, he is. He's right about the mud show stuff that he says, but only from his perspective. And if you can't understand that, then you need to grow up a little. He's an old man who got stabbed for this business while pretending he was 100% legit, that the fights were 100% fights. A guy like Orange Cassidy would have been murdered in a parking lot by the boys. He wouldn't have been killed by no fan. No fan would have known what to make of that, because back in those days, which I call, the golden age of wrestling, people bought that shit. And I didn't. I mean, you always knew there was something up. There's that moment where you go, something's up with this. And you either love it because there's something up with it, or you hate it because you feel like they're trying to trick you. But if that's the case, then you must think that Burt Reynolds was trying to trick everyone that he could drive a car real fast. Or that Steve McQueen did all his own stunts. But you must think that, Han Solo, like Harrison Ford is tricking you into thinking that he has a giant dog friend and he drives around in a space truck all day. It's not that, guys. That's my long and short of it. When you know the trick of the magic trick, it's even more impressive to watch what they're doing. And it's just a story. It's a story about men fighting each other and women fighting each other, and not a real way, and in a sporting way. It's a show about sports. It's fake in the same way that Major League, the movie Major League, is fake, with Charlie Sheen. Only, and here's the big difference, they do it live every week around the globe. They only get one take, and that's it. It's a live stunt show with zero redos. Anyway, we're talking about Rampage. AEW Rampage opened with CM Punk returning after a short introduction. I'm gonna play for you now my reaction, and I'm gonna bleep out some of the really horrible shit I said about WWF, specifically about Roman Reigns, who, it's not his fault. It's not his fault that he was, it seemed like, held at gunpoint to go onto a damn podcast and play shoot interview bullshit with my man CM Punk, saying some shit he knows to be false, saying some shit that he knows is just ridiculous. CM Punk was never over. I was at WrestleMania when you beat the Undertaker. They chanted CM Punk a lot during that show. They chanted CM Punk just a ton. That was my Xbox telling me my controller batteries are low. I'm going to turn it off, and I'm keeping it in. I don't care. This is a real moment. So Roman Reigns, for you to say he was never over, it really made me go, damn, dude. How big is that hook they got into you, Big Kahuna? How big is the heart of the man who claims to love wrestling? You don't even love wrestling, dude. I get it. You claim to be the head of the table in a world where Meng exists, in a world where The Rock exists. You claim you're the head of the table. That's a Paul Heyman thing. The only thing about SummerSlam tonight that I was like, oh, that's kind of interesting, and I didn't even watch it. I watched Twitter responses, is that Brock Lesnar's back. My only question now is, when's Paul Heyman going to dump you, the loser, for Brock Lesnar, the winner? And you know what? I already know the plan. If anything I know about the wrestling business, and I know a bit, I know what it feels like to get body slammed, because I've been body slammed. I know what it's like to get a chair shot, because I got hit in the fucking head with a chair from Balls Mahoney, a man who will tear your head off. Yeah. I've trained in a ring. I hurt myself, and I'm older than dirt, so I don't want to continue trying to hurt myself to be what, I was dreaming of. But I was like, you know what? My dream was to be a fan, maybe to write, maybe to book. I would love to book somewhere. But I've done most of the things that I've wanted to do as far as wrestling goes in terms of fandom. And the point is this. Roman Reigns, you don't know what the hell over is. Because you ain't never been over on your own. When they shut you up and put you with Paul Heyman, that was proof that you didn't know how to get over. Good guy, bad guy, whatever. This is my yard. Really? You remove Undertaker from that equation, you were nothing. They did you a favor. They gave you Undertaker's loss, retirement match. You know how good you were, how over you were, Roman? They gave it back again to AJ Styles and then did it right. Undertaker wanted to lose to not Brock, but CM Punk. You want to know why? Because CM Punk is over, and not just with the fans, but with the boys too. And not every boy, of course. Like I said, Triple H and his dingback clutch of dipshits. In terms of what is like good wrestling and what isn't, it just really bugs me, man. It bugs me that you said that. It bugs me that you said he wasn't as good as John Cena. That's some shit from that documentary that WWF made about CM Punk at the time, like shortly after Summer of Punk, when he was He was as over as Christmas dinner. He was over as Santa Claus. He's over as the Easter Bunny among children. And you had the ball. You didn't have the balls to say it. You were told to say it, and you did. Great. And by the way, jealousy is not the good color on you, my friend. By the way, who wouldn't have a fucking career at all had CM Punk not needed heavies. And he picked you and Seth and John Moxley, who ended up being somewhere else because WWE doesn't know how to treat people. That's it. And you, oh my God, had you not been, 6'4", 6'5", I don't know what they bill you at, but I've seen you in person. You're a little bit taller than I am, and I'm taller than Kazarian. So if you're legit 6'5", then I'm a legit 6'1", and I'm not. So anyway, Roman, the point is that when you hear the scratches of the beginning of the intro for CM Punk on AEW Rampage, and then you hear the first opening riff for Cult of Personality, which is one of my favorite songs of all time. And it's not even, and everyone thinks it's about CM Punk. It's not just about CM Punk. It's about Vince McMahon. He tells you one thing and does something else. I love the fact that he made Vince McMahon pay for a song that trolls Vince McMahon. And if you were there, here, I'll just show you. This is the people in the crowd during Dark.
It's not even on the air yet. Yep, not over at all. This is what not over looks like. I think it'd be done yet.
Yeah. Is he over? Do you even know what over sounds like? Do you even know what a pop is? I haven't heard a pop since, I'll tell you what, WrestleMania. I was down in Orlando, and I went to NXT the night before. The Nakamura match. The intro to Nakamura's match, and the end of that match, I heard pops. Real pops. Attitude Era pops. WrestleMania, I heard two pops. One, when Brock Lesnar beat Goldberg, everyone went off their shit. And when the Hardy Boys returned. And by the way, one of those Hardy Boys doesn't work there anymore, does he? Nope. He's working somewhere else now. Bray Wyatt's gone. Braun Strowman's gone. Fella, your company is having a problem. But this isn't about that. This is about AEW Rampage. So the music hits, and you can't hear the theme song. You can't hear it, not because they turned it down. I'm club seats next to the stage. If you're looking at the stage entrance, I'm off to the left. Punk comes in on the right. We were right next to the whole audio system. You can hear it on my video here. You'll hear and then an explosion. My mic blows out on my phone. It doesn't record shit. It doesn't record anything. It can't record anything because everyone's screaming, shouting. There's me screaming, blowing my vocal cords out, and that happened to me at WrestleMania when the Hardy Boys showed back up. And that happened last night because CM Punk, I don't know if you know this or not, and this is just for Roman Reigns here, he's over. The kid's over. They chanted his name while they were setting up the ring. They chanted his name in the crowd before they had cameras turned on. They were chanting his name as we were walking into the building. CM Punk isn't over. Damn, imagine if he was over. Imagine that for just a second. It should scare the shit out of everyone at WWF. Because if that wasn't over, if this...
This is what over looks like, you piece of shit!
Isn't over, then it's true. Vince McMahon doesn't know what is over. He doesn't know who gets over. He doesn't know how to get someone over if this isn't what anyone with a rational brain would call over. CM Punk isn't over, and yet he sold out the United Center. Ticket sales sold out. Number on hand was what? Under 1,000 of full capacity. Meanwhile, you guys still have to paper audiences to this day. You're not a draw. CM Punk's rumor of being there, by the way, we didn't know he was going to be there. We heard maybe he would be there, and we didn't know in what capacity he would show up. My guess, and I'm an asshole for guessing this, my guess was he was going to come out, do a little, hello everyone, go over to the commentary booth, and announce the fact that he was going to be commentating for the rest of the year. But that ain't what happened. He came out, dropped to his knees like Robin Hood in the movie Robin Hood, when Robin of Locksley finally reaches the shores of Great Britain, and he drops into the sand, and he grabs 2 clutches of sand, and he's kissing the sand that's in his hands because he's home. That's what I saw. I saw a lapsed wrestling fan get their faith back. I saw a lapsed wrestling fan come out of the darkness like Lazarus and walk into the light. And that broke my heart, and it made my heart explode out of my chest. I cried like a baby. There's a man that they show on the show whose tears are just rolling on his face as he's reaching out and throwing up the horns for CM Punk. And let's contrast that with this guy. That's the reaction Vince wants. Not tears of joy. Not overcome with emotion. What he wants is shock and horror and angst and anguish because he hates the fans. And I don't know why that is. Is it because they forced him to make Daniel Bryan a superhero? They didn't force his hand. He could have chose to do anything he wanted. He chose to put, Orton and Batista on top of a card that they hadn't been wrestling in years. But here's CM Punk on his knees. Then he goes to the ring. He stage dives into the crowd like he just won something. And maybe he did. Maybe he won the battle that he was talking about for so very long. Like, he's right. The WWF is in a spiral, but I don't want them to go away. And I don't want WWF to do anything but look and just reimagine what it can be like. I don't mind competition. I want them to do that. Compete. Tonight on SummerSlam? That wasn't competing. You just brought back Brock Lesnar. You want to make everyone shit their pants and have tears coming down their face? You should have brought CM Punk to WWE. You should have wrote whatever check he wanted. You should have apologized and meant it. But you didn't. You brought back a Brock Lesnar. Great. Brock Lesnar is like evil Superman. It's done. I'm done with it. I don't need hopelessness in my life. I don't need another, what, Brock's going to win? Great. If you're going to beat Brock with Roman Reigns because Roman Reigns turns face, I'll start watching. I'll start watching if Roman Reigns comes back to who he really should be. I will watch again, but I don't watch now. The only thing I have and I'm not getting rid of the Peacock WWE stuff because Peacock's actually curating your content better than you ever did. And I'm watching Nitro on there. I'll rewatch Nitros. I'll rewatch matches just to watch the matches. You can't tell me that a Fit Finlay Steven Regal match isn't worth watching again and again. Most of their content was kind of foolish in like 95, 96, but after 97, they're hitting on all cylinders. You got heel Jericho, you got Mysterio, but we're not even talking about that. We're talking about CM Punk. I'm even talking about wrestling like this. I'm gushing because my heart for wrestling wasn't dead. I will always love wrestling, but now I'm excited. Wednesday's going to be amazing because CM Punk said he was going to be there, and he's going to. It's in Chicago. And can you imagine the crowd for a Dynamite episode? I'm waiting to watch BTE Behind the Elite. Because if you can't, because he said he mixed it up with everybody backstage before the show. You can't tell me he didn't see Kenny Omega, didn't participate or talk to the Bucks, who are they're COOs, man. They're executive vice presidents, and that's not a joke. They literally are. Cody too. CM Punk goes to the ring. And he explains that he was in professional wrestling when he was in Ring of Honor. Agreed. He cried when he left because he knew he was going to a place that wasn't exactly that. Agreed. Because that's not what Vince McMahon wants for two reasons. One, sports entertainment's a nicer term to use. It's a term of art to use with stations who thought pro wrestling was Bruiser Brody, Abdullah the Butcher, the Sheik. I'll have more on him later. Thought that it was Kevin Sullivan worshiping the devil, which he never did. My mom thought he did, but never happened. And amongst all of that, all of that, it was also being taxed like it was a boxing match in certain states. Boston, I think, or Massachusetts and like Connecticut, New York too. They had a boxing commission. It's like, guys, you know this isn't a contest. This isn't someone who's going to actually get hurt. In fact, they're both trying not to hurt each other. And Vince thought, and rightfully so, that they should not be getting tagged for it being a sport when they're not a sport. Fair enough. I agree. I agree wholeheartedly, Vince. Here's the thing I don't agree with, is calling it sports entertainment and then just trying to remove that influence from the show. And so I fell out of love. Same way Punk did, until Punk comes out with his promo that told the truth. He says he hates that word pipe bomb. It ain't our fault. We caught on to what you were saying, man. We believed in it. But I agree. It's kind of a lame term to use everything as a pipe bomb. No. Remember, it's only when CM Punk holds that mic is it become a pipe bomb. And yeah, he is the best in the world. You want to know how I know? Because I watched him come back to wrestling like a man, like reinvigorated with the spirit of, joy. He was so happy to be there. He leapt into the crowd. He was hugging people, high-fiving. I believe his adopted family were at ringside. And then he told everyone that he cried again tonight because he was coming back to wrestling. And he's back. And he's back for good. As good as it's going to be for as long as he wants. Tony Khan must be applauded. And I'm going to silently applaud, but he had this to say. I recorded it as well, but I'm going to use somebody else's recording who was down on the floor. But he had this to say to everyone beforehand. And just listen to his voice.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. I've always dreamed of doing a wrestling show, man. I've always dreamed of bringing wrestling wrestling here, but I always wanted it to be the biggest, greatest night imaginable. And tonight, I promise you, bringing you something very special tonight at the first game. It's almost time for Rampage, everyone. We're going to have a great night tonight. I appreciate every single one of you for being here, and I appreciate you putting your faith in AEW. I appreciate you trusting us. Thank you for believing in AEW. Your faith will be rewarded tonight. Thank you, Chicago. I love you.
The rest of the show was only a couple matches and a bunch of interstitial stuff. At the end of CM Punk's opening bit, 3 things happened. He set up the pay-per-view All Out, which my brother and I will be on my couch with our chicken wings, with our beverages of choice. My choice will be water with lemon, and his choice will be whatever he wants. And we're going to watch All Out. I'm going to buy All Out as soon as it goes on sale. Because I want to see CM Punk wrestle Darby Allin with Sting. And I want to see what's going to happen between now and then. He said he's going to be there on Wednesdays and Fridays. No B shows. That was the other thing. Tony Khan put CM Punk at the head of what everyone would consider in the past to be Thunder or Velocity even, or Shotgun Saturday Night. No. Now AEW is destination watching because CM Punk is there, and he can show up whenever he wants, and he even said he would. They shoot dark on Wednesdays and Fridays. They don't shoot in house shows. They don't punish the wrestlers for wanting to be wrestlers. It's like, oh, well, because they can't. Well, they don't need to. The boss is an actual billionaire who knows how to promote things. And at the end of his thing, CM Punk's promo, number 1, he says, I'm going to knock Darby Allin on his ass. Even if he doesn't, it's going to be a match to remember forever because it's going to be CM Punk's first match back. Last but not least, the ice cream bars. CM Punk is on the way out. Grab yourself an ice cream bar, which I did. And I got to see, and on the way home, on the train, we're heading back to the car, and I got to see Ollie Davis say those magic words. CM Punk to AEW confirmed. And for that, I'm going to send him my wrapper. I just need to get a mailing address, and I'll mail it to him. If ever a fan deserved to be rewarded, because I know how important CM Punk was to him and his wrestling fandom. And, yeah, so it's yours, Ollie. I'll send it to you as soon as you respond to me. Okay, now on to the next match. So the show began hot, like, oh my God. And then, because, again, whoever's booking this is a damn genius. What are we looking at here? Wait, I thought I had, sorry, it's going to take me a second. I had the matches pulled up. I'll go to AEW site. Sorry, it's going to take a second. I just want to get the matches in the proper order. What the AllEliteWrestling.com. Okay. Events and Milwaukee is Dynamite. All right. That's this Wednesday. It's going to be good. News. Yeah, maybe it's in the news. Sorry. Oh, there we go. Results. Yep. Rampage results for August 20th. There we go. Results. I can't even imagine what the ratings were. I want to find that out too. I'll find out what the Q score was for that night. Contains spoilers. So Darby Allin and Sting, you better be on your best behavior because the best in the world is there, and he's going to prove it. So then we got the World Tag Team Title Eliminator Tournament in the semifinal. It was Jurassic Express with Jungle Boy and Luchasaurus with Marco Stunt in the ugliest cheddar cheese shoes I've ever seen versus Private Party with Matt Hardy. There was a lot of high spots, of course. It's Jurassic Express, but the people were still hot for this match, man. They were screaming. They sang along with Jungle Boy's, opening music, Jungle Life. Dude, whoever is making the decisions to give everyone their actual, preferred theme music and not going with like a Jimmy Hart sound alike. And no offense to Jimmy Hart. Jimmy Hart's a great dude, and I have met him before. And I've actually complimented him to his face for his musical choices in doing what they could do with copyrighted music. But moving on, anyway, the ending was going to be a little screwy. I thought, for sure they're going to screw them over again. Yeah, but no. Yep. Private Party looked like they were going to win because Matt Hardy's interference, but no. And oh man, you got to check out this. And if you can check out a rebroadcast of this, my cable box has not yet put it up for a replay, but when you can, do so, because there is a Canadian Destroyer in this match that I don't want to ruin. If you haven't seen it, check it out. Amazing. Jurassic Express is going on to the next round, which will be I can't remember if it's 2.0 and Death Triangle or what. There was Jade Cargill with Smart Mark Sterling. Hey man, I don't want to say it's gimmick infringement, but my manager persona was going to be S. Mark Martinson. That was going to be my name. Sterling Mark Markinson. Get it? Smart Mark, but it's okay. Somebody's using it, and it's an AEW, which makes it double good. However, the match was only a couple seconds long. However, a thrust kick. This match was devastating. Like, wow. Kiera Hogan was just knocked the hell out. Just a quick, devastating loss. CM Punk announced to be here on Wednesday, Milwaukee. It's going to be great. And then the main event. Everyone would argue that the main event happened at the open of the show. Not true, because man, Moxley versus Red Death, Daniel Garcia. By the way, I think 2.0 is one of my favorite new tag teams. I didn't watch a lot of NXT recently, so they're new to me. And anything new to me in wrestling is good to me in wrestling. I watched, in fact, the last time I saw them was on the after show for Dynamite last week. Those guys are hilarious. They're great. And the fact that they thought they were saying that Sting hit, there must have been real Sting that hit him, or it was fake Sting because it was Jeff Farmer. I said, hey, could it have been like, I don't know, Rick Bogner? Since we're going with fake, like fakes out there, could it be any fake? What about fake Undertaker? And they played along. It was really good. Garcia threw some offense out there, but Moxley's promo rant beforehand. John Moxley, by the way, I think Ollie Davis said this on the live watch. He's like, it's like he can say so much all at once, and you catch every little bit. I think it was Ollie Davis. It might have been Luke, but he says, but you catch everything that he says. The best part of that was he has a better chance of getting me pregnant out there than getting any kind of victory. That was fantastic. Everyone went nuts for Wild Thing, and then after the show, this happened. And yes, Sting, thank you so much. We are not second-class citizens. And yeah, this was the NWO moment for AEW. This was the moment where, not where Hall comes out and says, you don't know who we are, but you know why we're here. Not that part. When Kevin Nash walks in and says, the bar has been lifted around here. You know, check the adjective, check the verb, really, is a verb. This is where the big boys play. Check that adjective. We're not here to play. The adjective was big on boys. So, grammar nerd, yes, for the win. But this is that moment. This isn't Hogan leg dropping, you know. This is just the introduction of the NWO, making WCW, you know, actual competition for our fellas over at WWE. They heard that shot fired around the world with CM Punk, and with what we just heard from the boys who actually believe in what's going on. And they responded with, it's like, oh, damn it. Okay, so Becky Lynch is back. How you feel about that? Some kind of way? Tell me how you feel down below. Brock Lesnar's back. I think Vince is still writing zeros on that frickin' check right now. I don't know what he had to do to get him back. Probably just offered him a couple, steaks and some raw eggs. I don't know. Whatever Brock's doing now is better than rolling in money, I guess. having a good life, staying away from people. I get it. I'm not necessarily a loner myself, but I understand what his impulse is there. And I was there. See, I got my Rampage shirt. I did not get the CM Punk shirt. Check this out. That's for merch. He's not over. That's for merch, Roman. There ain't enough kids in the world who believe your bullshit so that when you turn face, they're going to be buying them gloves or buying a chest protector. Just ain't. You ain't over. And that is what over looks like. So, speaking of over, this review is over. There wasn't a lot that happened after CM Punk came out. And that show's only an hour long. But I think that may change in the future. And let me ask you this. I'm going to look at the head. Oh, I said I was going to look at the head-to-head for Friday night. They may not have the results yet. They may not have them until Monday. But let's take a look. Yeah, oh man, that's the first thing on Google here. Ratings. NXT and ratings. Can it do the same with Rampage? What? No. Oh, there we go. Distractify. Oh, so the rumor is... Oh, wait, this is... Oh, nope, okay. So, last week's Rampage... It begins after SmackDown wraps up, so they're not head-to-head. So, last week... We had 740,000 average total views. That's a 0.30 in the 1849 demographic. That's higher than most things get. It's established viewing. SmackDown got 2.8 million, looks like, but has the same amount of 18 to 49 viewers, which are the important demographic for selling ads. So Rampage did just as good in the market of wrestling fans that WWF did. And you know what? It's great. And by the way, I don't think AEW is trying to destroy the WWF, and I don't think they should. I think they should do their own thing and do how they want to do it, because how they want to do it seems like it cares about us, the wrestling fan, the pro wrestling fan. And that ain't a bad thing. It's a very good thing. So, as I always say at the end of every broadcast, remember, no matter what I say here on this show or on any other of my shows, stay retro. That's it. Just don't forget to stay retro. Peace.
Throwing out a hissy fit, your views ain't in the millions, and every up and comer is a threat to what you're dealing. And instead of getting better, you just spout up on your Facebook, crying on your Twitter bit about how bad your case look. In case you didn't get it yet, allow me to rephrase it. You're grandma than my 4-year-old. I'm actually amazed. Like